It's that time of year again, daylight savings time. Last Sunday, November 7th, marked this country's 104th annual observation of daylight savings time, in which people across the country set their clocks back an hour. While real conversations about seasonal depression have come to the forefront of the daylight savings debate in recent years, there's another dark side to the time change that has not been dominating conversations in the same way: the threat daylight savings poses to public safety, particularly for women. Women are increasingly voicing concern over the time change because it limits the amount of time they feel they can safely be outside. In Washington, D.C. in particular, which has seen a 13% increase in homicides this year according to D.C. police, these concerns are definitely not unfounded.
So daylight savings is always a bit rough for me as a woman because obviously it being dark earlier makes it more difficult for me to be outside alone. I usually love going for walks around the city, but now that it gets dark at like 4:30ish, it makes it harder for me to be outside.
I think since it gets dark so much earlier, I think I need the lights on in my room by 5 p.m. Leaving or going outside, it makes me feel more anxious. So when I'm outside, generally in the dark, I usually walk with someone, but when that's starting just at 5 p.m., that's more difficult.
For women, the November time change means more than remembering to set back a few clocks around the house. It can involve an entire lifestyle change for months out of the year, especially for those living in urban areas where walking alone outside is unavoidable.
As a student, I think, walking to classes and having to go to organizations that are on campus, meetings for that, it really, it compromises my own interest in going to class or going to these meetings when I recognize that there is a lot of danger outside. And so it not only affects my academic environment, my organizational environment, but also my personal environment.
The health and safety risks the daylight savings time system poses for women begs the question: what are we actually saving? The United States first implemented DST during World War I in an effort to conserve resources, but it wasn't permanently introduced until the 1960s. Now, every state in the U.S. participates besides Hawaii, Arizona, and the Navajo Nation, whose legislators have voted against falling back and springing forward. However, the reality of DST today undermines its once environmentally conscious goals. A recent study from the Quarterly Journal of Economics indicated that DST actually increases energy consumption instead of saving it. The issue has recaptured the attention of Congress recently, with Marco Rubio proposing the Sunshine Protection Act that would effectively end the time changes.
It's a dumb idea that has no rationale, and it's time to end it. I have refiled my bill to make daylight saving time permanent. It's time to lock the clock and stop the stupidity of going back and forth on the clock twice a year.
Women's safety activists have also taken issue with daylight savings. We sat down with Emily Owen, the founder of Bibdi, a DC-based women's safety app, to talk about how she's working to address this issue.
The main features of the Bibdi app, it is a peer-to-peer walking or travel buddy app. The idea is that you would send out a request, say you have to work late, you could go onto the app, request, a travel buddy from who's around you, and you get paired with somebody, and then you could go to complete your walk. So the idea is that we're basically just trying to scale some of the systems and strategies that women already use to be safe beyond their immediate networks of families and friends.
Owen said she was surprised to see how much DST impacted the traffic on her app, especially while conducting the program's pilot at Georgetown University.
We've seen an increase starting in mid-November when it started to get dark earlier. And we have had requests for walks as early as 5:45 or 6 o'clock. So that was a learning that was quite startling for me. I anticipated that most of our appointments would be for the weekends or would be at later at night, maybe Thursday, Fridays. I didn't anticipate that our users would want to be walked home from extracurricular activities that were on campus at 7 o'clock. I didn't anticipate that someone would want to leave work and have a walk back to their dorm around 6:30.
Beyond invoking anxiety in women, DST also has financial ramifications for those it puts most at risk, making women spend more money on protective measures like rideshare services.
Daylight savings time has affected my commuting habits because usually I like to walk everywhere, not take Ubers that often, but since it's dark outside earlier, I end up taking more Ubers, end up spending more money just because it doesn't feel safe for me to either walk outside by myself or take the bus by myself late at night.
Because of this, Owen keeps her app free for users, a small step in alleviating some of the challenges women face as the clocks fall back.
Like women worldwide spend about 30% more of their income on their own safety for different products or services than men do. Like 30%. That's a huge difference. So it is a mainstream issue that is treated like it's people's own responsibility. But because of that, women actually have to pay. It becomes a pink tax, essentially. That it's not just like razor blades now, though, it's actually personal security.